Hey, CDA, and this is Main Sequence, a game made by a single developer that is, I think, best described as satisfactory in a spaceship. This game has a lot of interesting ideas that I haven't really seen in a lot of other games, and it is only made by a single developer, so that is extremely impressive to me, and I'm probably going to gush over that a little bit more. But look at that, we are in a tiny little spaceship, and we're not going to be stuck in here for very long, just for now. We have a reactor over here that's going to fuel our ship. It has a fair amount of hydrogen fuel in there. There's a couple of side entrances that currently do not go anywhere. We can expand on that later. And look at that, we can kind of look out the window. There's a planet over there. There's asteroids with resources. It is pretty straightforward, but you know, it is also pretty nice to look at. Now we have a workbench over here that we can use to make some materials. We'll get to that in a moment, but first we're gonna hop in our spaceship and we're going to be flying around, and look at that. This looks pretty amazing, don't you think? But anyway, we want some resources, and we are going to scan for some water ice. Now once I do that, it's going to scan all of these resources. There's a couple of those arrows that are going to point me to the nearest versions of that resource. Where are you? I always have the feeling that initially it oh no, never mind. It bugs out a little bit, but maybe that is just me. We can fly towards, we have a little bit of a boost that we can do. There we go, and then we can just start shooting at an asteroid. Pretty straightforward. As you can see, there's resources popping out of there, and then we can use our tractor beam to pull them in. Now, similarly, that is already the 50 ice that we needed. We can do that for a couple of different resources as well. We're gonna hunt for some titanium. We also need some nickel, and there's a fourth resource that is, what is it called, silica, that we can't really use just yet, but I'm gonna just go around and mine a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, I won't bore you with all the mining stuff, but it's not actually something that takes a long time to get a lot of resources. As you can see, I filled up pretty much the entire ship inventory over here, and that's way more than I was asked to make, but we are going to craft ourselves a whole bunch of titanium plates. Let's just queue up a whole bunch of those. There we go. And I'm just gonna queue up a whole bunch of hydrogen and nickel plates as well. This is going to produce these pretty much as long as I need. Now let me double check my quest. I need to craft some titanium plates, some hull plates, and some lightweight frames. Now on the left side you can see we have a refinery over here, but we have an assembler on the left. That can actually make the hull plates and the lightweight frames. And we can also make magnetic coils and repair kits. Is something that we can't really use yet, or at least not for the quest we can't. So let's just focus on making a couple of hull plates. You can see I can do this at the same time. This is a different machine, and this is just going to take a little bit of time. Okay, there we go. That was the last one. We now have a whole bunch of stuff. I'm just gonna keep producing these on the background because, you know, there's nothing else we can do at the moment anyway. We need to construct a station. Now we need to sit in the pilot seat in order to do that, and then we need to go to the queue menu. This is going to queue up the stations that we can currently build, which is just a starter station. That sounds appropriate. Let's go. And there we go, our first own space station. Now we can fly a little bit closer. There we go, and then we can press F to dock with that station. And this is actually really awesome because, ta-da! We can now board our own station, and this is going to give us a lot of room to work with. Now, the game is telling us to build a reactor, a refinery, and a science lab. And in order to do that, I'm gonna need some resources because, you know, this is going to cost me some titanium plates and magnetic coils. The refinery, the same thing, and the science lab as well. So we need some of those titanium plates that we were making in our factory over here. So let's go back to that. And let's just grab those titanium plates straight out of here. So we have 13 of those. Not quite enough, I think, for everything that we need to build. Let's stop some of this production. We're also going to need some titanium plates. So what I'm actually gonna do is queue some of these up. Let's press Control or left mouse button and kind of just alternate these things for the foreseeable future. There we go. And then just make a whole bunch of other stuff. There you go. So now we should get a little bit of everything. And I'm just gonna have to wait once more for this production to finish. It's a little bit slow to start out with. But, you know, we're going to definitely speed that up quite a bit in a second. And of course, in the meanwhile, there's nothing stopping me from just undocking and scanning for some more resources, so I'm going to do exactly that. Well, I actually found an enemy that is shooting at me. It's a little hard to tell, but it was an enemy ship that is formed like a crescent, and as you can see, my hull took a little bit of damage. I'm now at 41 hull out of 70, so I'm also going to need one of those repair kits I think we saw earlier. So I got a whole bunch more resources, and what I can do now is actually go to my autopilot. I can configure this by adding a destination. Then I want to travel to a station. We should probably rename that at some point, but you know, let's enable the autopilot, and there we go. Now my ship is just flying itself. I have no idea where we're going. Well, hopefully to my station, of course, but I can't tell that it's doing that. I have been just flying around randomly. I can check the map. Let me zoom out. Where are you going? Let me turn the map a little bit. Yeah, there's my station. This is my scout. And we are now moving automatically there. So that also means I can just leave the pilot seat. We'll keep flying. And I can check on my production. There we go. We're still producing. I should probably queue up a whole bunch more of this. There we go. That should leave room to cancel some of that other stuff. Let's re-queue that up. Kind of need to fiddle around with the production order here. I want nickel plates more than I want everything else. There we go. And that means we can also queue up a whole bunch of these magnetic coils and grab these from this inventory. And that should allow us to start building our station a little bit more. And we have arrived once again at our station. So let's see, what can we do over here? First of all, let's go to the building menu. We should have enough resources now, I think. So let's see. Power generation. Let's put this reactor over here in the corner. It's snugly in the corner. Yeah, we will have more building space soon, I hope. But for the moment, let's see. We are going to need some fuel. And I didn't bring any fuel, so let me run back over here. Is there any fuel left in here? There is some coils over here. I think the fuel is automatically being put in my reactor. Yeah, so there is some stuff over here. Now, I am making more fuel, right? Yeah, we have a whole bunch of fuel actually queued up. But let me do that differently. Let's bring all the water that we have over here, or at least most of it. Let's still make a little bit of this stuff over here. Then let's go back here and build ourselves a refinery. Now, I'm gonna put this refinery over here in the corner. And we can throw some of this stuff in. We need to set a recipe, so this is going to be the hydrogen fuel. And there we go. So now this is going to be producing fuel, assuming we have any power. So we do need to kickstart this. There we go. This is now consuming a little bit of fuel, and voila, we are now producing some fuel. Now you might be wondering why I don't just hook these things up. That is because even if I place them next to each other, they won't actually transport anything between them. We are going to need some conveyor belts for that. However, first things first, let's see. We have another refinery. We can put that one over here in the corner. This one can start making something else. Let's see, what can we make in the refinery? Let's remind me. Titanium plates, nickel plates, and fuel. So we want both of those. So I actually think I am gonna set two of these next to each other. There we go. And we are going to set this one to make nickel plates and grab some more ore from our working station. Okay, so I ran down and grabbed some more ore, and let's see, we can throw in some titanium ore over here. It's just a one stack that is going to go in here, but look at that. I think these things are actually producing a lot faster than they were in my ship, so that is a nice upgrade. I want to make some nickel plates over here as well, and then last but not least, we're going to need a science lab. I'm not sure how we're going to place that. We're probably going to redesign stuff anyway. But we can go to the technology tree. Before we do that, however, we now can go and select a new mission. So we can either focus on automation or on ship upgrading. Let's go for the automation first, and that means we need to start researching technology logistics 1. And this is going to give us a conveyor belt, an underground belt, and a splitter. So that seems to be quite useful. I assume we're making that in the science lab. We are missing an item to put in here. So what do we put in here? You can either put in hull plates, servo motors, advanced plates, or basic circuits. I have no idea how to make most of these things, but we do know how to make hull plates. And we are going to need, I guess, an assembler for that. In order to do that, we're going to need some lightweight frames. Okay, so here we are back at our workstation. That does mean I need to put in a couple of these things once more. Let's see, we need some plates actually, so we don't necessarily need to place the ore here. We do need to place the plates here. We want some lightweight frames, so let's make a whole bunch of those. That should not take too long. We have some more of these plates. Yes, we do, so let's make some more of those. And then we have something to work with. Okay, so I got myself some lightweight frames. That means I can now start building an assembler. I can actually build two, but I don't think we have quite enough space to do that. This is a pretty large building, honestly, but, you know, we can actually enable and disable the ports on these things. That's nice. Not that the ports are currently doing anything. So what can we craft? We want to make some hull plates, because that's what we need in order to get the science going, and that means we need to put in titanium plates. We should be producing those over here. Yeah, so we have a stack of those. Now, the annoying thing is I need to keep putting in new resources in order to have this actually do anything. You know, we now have a full stack of these, so we can make some hull plates and get this working. In the meanwhile, we have a little bit of space left on this side. I kind of want to make a container, and I need some more titanium plates for that. Luckily, I'm now producing those. So let me grab those over here. Let's place a little container over here. And I am going to dump some of my surplus resources in there. I could also just keep producing stuff at the ship, but I also want to make sure I have plenty of space at the ship. And I'm also going to run back and grab some of my nickel ore. Because remember, we need to get some of that nickel going as well. Let me grab these resources that we're now producing. Let me just grab these. Let's keep this inventory as clean and empty as possible, because that means we can grab some more ore once we go out for another flight. Let's throw some of that in here. Let's make sure we keep topping this up. Let's grab those out. And last but not least, let's get some more fuel. How are we doing on fuel over here? Yeah, I thought we might be running low on that. So let's do that like that. We need quite a lot of water actually to make fuel, so this is a very inefficient process for the moment. However, we do have 16 hull plates now. Let's toss in some more of those. There we go. And that means we can top this one off with a whole bunch of that. And that should now, but we haven't actually selected the research yet. Add the queue. There we go. Seems like it's working. Yep, it is. And we are now slowly making progress through Logistics 1. Now, I'm gonna hopefully not repeat this too many times, but this game made by a single developer, and it's actually feeling quite unique. It's very satisfactory, like in terms of the, you know, the look and feel of the buildings. I guess the orange is a large part of that as well. It's definitely distinct though. It's a little bit more simplistic in some ways. But look at this. This is amazing. Just imagine a single person making this entire game, and we are just on the beginning. There is a whole lot more to come, so make sure you keep watching. Let's also place down a second one of these logistics storage units, so we can make sure we get rid of some of this clutter in our inventory. We're gonna want to automate this production line for sure. Look, there's like numbers on the access points. That's quite handy actually. Okay, but we just researched Logistics 1, and let's see, that should mean, yep, we now have access to conveyor belts, underground belts, splitters, all of that working according to plan. There's a problem with wanting to expand though, because we don't have any space to do so. So that is where this section of the station comes in. This is the designer. So if we open up these blocks, you can see we have some different blocks that we can use to kind of rearrange our station, and you can actually just rearrange the existing station as well. Not entirely sure I want to do that necessarily. Or do I? Let me think for a moment. So, we could make like a power area over here and then a production area over here. In order to do that, we're going to have to, I guess, add in some more hull plates. So, yeah, but it's actually really fun. So you can start just building your entire own, like, station. You can start adding in things. You can start adding in more docks if that is what you want to do, etc., etc. Now obviously I'm not going to do this specifically, If you just don't save it, that's not a problem. We are going to add in some more of these hull plates though. So I'm gonna make sure I make the most out of my production over here. Making a pretty good headway actually in terms of keeping up the production. So there we go. And once we have some more of those plates going, I'm gonna go and expand my station. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to expand my station with these two modules. We need some hull plates for that. It's not seeing that I have those in my inventory, so I think I need to put them in the station inventory. So let's try that. Let's put those in there. Let's go back and let's add in these two things once more. It's super easy to do that, by the way. Middle mouse button just copies this and you can just paste it. Super easy. So let's see, modification cost is 20 hull plates. Yeah, that seems about right. Then we can apply that. And there you go. We can already see it working. Everything just zooms in. There's no build time or anything like that. Not sure that that's necessarily needed. Look, look. So now what we want to do is clear out some of this stuff. Like so. And then we are going to have to kind of redo what we already had. Let's find out if this works like I think it does. So we have a dock over here. So this is the part where my ship actually docks the station. We can configure this and we have two output ports. So if I click on this, let's see, if I then select the water ice over here, then what I want to do is put a little container, maybe over here in the corner. There we go. Then, I don't know, what happens if I do an underground belt? That only works in one direction. That's a shame. Okay, so then we're going to switch to a normal belt and do something like this. Oh, you can actually very easily queue all of this up. This is a lot easier to work with than in a lot of other factory games, to be honest. So I'm hoping that what happens now, if I can actually test this probably. Let's go to my ship's inventory. How do I access that? Yeah, this is the ship's inventory. Let me put in the water ice in the ship's inventory. You can already see it draining. That's very nice. Look at that. So it's now automatically going into this box over here. Of course, it's a lot faster doing this manually, but you know, automation is the key. This is going to automatically undock or unload all the water ice from my ship. Now, if I do the same thing over here, and I only have two output ports, so I can't do this with every resource, but you know, it's a good start to at least automate some stuff. We're gonna put in the... This is not the menu I wanted. Hold on. I was still trying to build stuff. There we go. Let's put in the, what is this called? Titanium ore over here. And that should help whenever I do a new collection run. Now, let me make sure I don't run out of resource before I do what I want to do. Let's start from the other end. Ooh, it actually recognizes what direction I'm pointing in. This is quite awesome, to be honest. Okay, I want a refinery. How are we going to do this? I am not entirely sure yet, so we can always change our minds later on. So let's do that like so. Why are you not working? There you go. And then let's set this refinery to make fuel. And then we are going to put in another box over here. That is going to be attached to this like so. Then we are going to have an output box as well. And last but not least, we are going to have that reactor that we had before as well. These things are massive. Anyway, this is kind of ugly. Let's remove that. Let's place down another one. And it actually recognizes it should be a turn from the get-go. That is quite awesome. Do I have any fuel left? Yes, I do. So I can automate this. Now we should have power. Yeah, we are already producing new power. We're automatically exporting all the water ice. Look, we have automated power completely. Assuming, of course, I don't actually run out of resources. I'm gonna do something similar on this other side. So let's see, we can make some belts. Do that like this. We can set up another, not a science lab, that is not what I wanted to do, a refinery in the corner. Then we can have, actually, let's do it slightly different. let's have this. Let's leave some space to actually move around. We don't have a lot of space, but you know. I need to move this a little bit further away, I think. I'll show you why in a moment. Let's see. We want a splitter. We don't actually have to unlock splitter separately. That is awesome. So that we can have that. And then we are going to make an assembler over here. Maybe, again, move that out a little bit, just to make sure that I can still see what I'm doing. There we go. Can I move in between here? Yes, I can. And this is actually perfectly aligned, so that helps. There we go. And then we can set this to make, I don't know, hull plates, I guess. Like that. And then we actually don't have enough space to put in another one. Well, actually, what we can do, hold on, this is pretty efficient. We can do this. So now this should be collecting both the titanium plates that I'm making here, at least half of those, as well as any hull plates that I make over here. So now if I connect this all up, voila. Did I set the recipe? No. Let's make sure we do that. So titanium plates over here. Titanium plates are going to go in here. The first one went through, the other one went to the side, so working like intended. And then this is going to make hull plates. It's going to be pretty slow because it needs 3 of these, I think. 4? 3? 3 of those. And then it's going to make 1 hull plate. But now we have completely automated that production line as well. And this is actually going to offload itself. So, I guess you get the drift of this for now. So I'm going to set up an identical kind of chain like that. But now for the nickel plates and the wires. And there we go. And this is starting to look like an actual space station production factory, whatever you want to call it. The only downside is that this place where I'm going to be dumping all my nickel ore is not going to be directly connected to my ship because I only have these 2 output ports. Not entirely sure what we're going to do about that. That's probably a problem for later. But yeah, you know, we're automatically producing nickel plates over here. You can still see them working. Some of those nickel plates are going to go in here. And then we have another one of those assemblers making magnetic coils as well. So yeah, that is all the basic production that we currently have available, I think. With one exception, there is, if I go to this assembler, there's also the lightweight frames, of course, as well as the repair kit that I kind of want. But I can just switch this to lightweight frames because it has the same input, just the titanium plates as the other one. I can also just get some of those going. And I still have a couple of those light frames, I think, yeah. So, you know, not the biggest problem in the world. But I can just switch that up if and when we want it. How many hull plates do I have? Quite a bit, actually. So I can grab all of this stuff. There we go. And now, can I still build one of those science labs? Yes, I can. So let's put that. This is just bugging me. I can't put it in the center because it's 3 by 3, and apparently we have an even number of spaces. Anyway, this'll, well, this'll just have to do. There we go. So this is a science lab, and we are going to select our next technology. Where is it? I am blind. Oh, mining drones over here. So let's add that to the queue. And then we need to put in, yeah, so we can only put in the hull plates, but we have plenty of those. So let's put in an entire stack. This is going to research the mining drones. I am mass producing a whole lot of stuff. So I'm actually gonna place 1 more of these over here in the corner. And I'm gonna use that to get rid of some of the stuff that I don't need. Didn't I have... Oh, I think I left those on the ship. We had some of that silicon ore as well. I want to make sure I have as much space as I can get. Huh. Maybe some of that got deleted when I started mass deleting stuff in my inventory. Either that or it's in the inventory of the space station itself. There is still hull plates in here. Might as well leave those in there, to be honest. What do I want to do with this stuff? Yeah, maybe... Yeah, actually, I'm not entirely sure yet. Either keep them in my inventory or not. Probably doesn't matter that much. It's interesting to see. Oh! you can just hold shift and then, oh yeah, this is a lot faster than what I was doing before. So something good came out of that anyway. Not sure where my silicon went, but that's kind of where this box was intended for, to be kind of my dumping ground. I can actually just dump these resources in here because I'm gonna go out in my ship, get some more resources while the mining drones are researching themselves. And yeah, this is all pretty awesome and pretty efficient. It feels like we're actually playing a factory game, which of course we are, but we are still, I'm only like 30 minutes in or something, and I have a lot of stuff automated already. Okay, mining drones are done. I have a pretty decent amount of resources already, so let's make sure we fly back. I don't have to actually set the destination again. I can just queue that up once more. Let's make some fuel for our spaceship as well, just to make sure I don't run out. I don't think we've used that much. I was making it before as well. Yeah, so we have an entire stack of that actually still sitting there. So now we can make the track back to our main station. Let me check my inventory once more. I do have some silica, so let's make sure I bring that myself. And the water ice as well as the titanium ore should be offloaded automatically, so I only need to bring the nickel myself. And there you have it. This should all take care of itself as soon as I dock. In the meanwhile, let's make some repair kits as well, used for basic repairs. We're there yet? We're slowing down. Oh, yeah, we are getting close. So, how do I use those? I actually don't know. Let me see, can I just click these or something? Used for basic repairs. Yeah, that's great, but maybe I need to be in the ship in order to do that? Oh yeah, look. Oh, repairs required. So, oh, I actually need to do all of those 3 at once. Is that how that works? That's interesting. Well, I can make some more of those, but let's double check if this is working like intended. No, I forgot to set one of the outputs, so let's make sure we do that. This is going to be the titanium ore. And there you go. So this will keep automating both my power as well as my main titanium production. And that means in the meanwhile I can, well, either do that over here, kind of fiddle around with this. Yeah, let's just make a couple of these. It shouldn't take too long. I definitely need to bring all the other resources I have over here. Now I have 3 of those, so if I now hop back into my ship, repair. It actually needs to be, oh yeah, that makes sense. It needs to be in the inventory of the ship, I guess. You can actually use them one by one, so that's good to know. Okay, so ship repaired and production automated. Let's see what we can do with some mining drones. We're gonna hop back to the designer. Let's open this up and look at that. We now have the mining drone bay available over here. That's a pretty interesting looking module. Okay, so we are going to need some hull plates, some lightweight frames, and some magnetic coils. For that, we have pretty much everything in production, so that shouldn't take too long to grab. Hull plates, lightweight frames, and magnetic coils. Okay, so let's open the inventory. We already have some of that in here. Everything else should probably be in here already. So we have some of these lightweight coils. What did I do with my... Oh, I think I put them in here. Yeah, so that should be enough of those. And then we can grab some of these coils out here as well. There we go. It's very convenient, and the inventory is actually placed over there as well. I could feed the inventory directly from my machines, actually. Probably not needed at this point, but it's something worth keeping in mind. Is that everything I needed to place that? Yes. But I don't want to place it there, I don't think. So can I actually move the module that I'm in? No. That is quite unfortunate. What I can do... Okay, no, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to take this module... Turn that around. Let's see. If we hook up this, sorry, this was the side with the power. Yeah, actually, this might just work fine still. What I want to do is remove this. Can I remove this? No, I can't remove it. I can't duplicate it, so I can just place it here temporarily. Can I remove it now? Oh, I can't. That is very unfortunate. And kind of annoying, to be honest. So I can duplicate my dock. So what I need to do is duplicate the dock, then dock my ship in the new location so I can move it. Then probably also, if I want to do the same with my command module, move that where I want to have it, so I have 2 of them, and then modify it from the other side. Okay, so let me work on this for a moment. So I decided to keep this as simple as possible. I now have 2 of these things, so hopefully that should mean that if I now run to the other side, should be right in the back here, yeah. Don't worry, we'll make it look prettier as we go. But now I can remove this one, yes. And I can replace this with a mining bay. Now the reason I want to do this is this will allow me to get in resources from the center and then export it to the sides. Might want to change that up later. I'm not sure if this is going to be the optimal way of doing it, but you know, it is what it is for now. So let's change that. And now we have a mining drone bay over here. That means that if we go back out, I'm assuming at least that mining drone bay is going to... What's this? We can pet the drones. Okay. Oh, they make cute sounds. Okay, now the real question is, how does this work? Configure the mining drone bay. So let's see. We can set it to start mining. We can set it to filter. We have a lot of resources here actually. So do we need it to filter? I don't know. I mean, I kind of want everything. Maybe if I filter silicon, does that mean if I turn this on, that it's just going to mine silicon? Did the drones just fly out? Oh look, I think it's a drone over there mining actually. So yeah, it's definitely doing something. Am I getting any resources? Maybe. I think we are just going to get silicon if I set this filter like so. Oh, look at that. It's passing by. That's kind of cool. So they just arrived back. I guess they're offloading their resources now. Oh, they just let... Oh, yeah. Oh, this is so cool. Actually, I wanted mining drones in Satisfactory for so long. You don't get anything really that resembles any drones until pretty late into the game. They're also now currently mining the only thing that we don't actually need. So let's remove this filter somehow. That sounded like an explosion. Did something just blew up? I'm a little scared now. Well, luckily both drones just arrived back safely, and I actually just remembered that every time you finish a asteroid, it's going to blow up, so that was probably what we heard. But anyway, I actually had to rebuild the drone bay, because it turns out if you set a filter, you can't take it back off anymore. So developer, if you're watching this, that might be something you might want to change, or make more clear how I do it, because maybe I can do it, I just wasn't able to figure that out. But anyway, I'm not going to set a filter, I'm just going to have this mine everything. I think that's going to be just fine, and then what I am going to do is set the output ports. I think these are output ports. Can I not filter these? That would be kind of a shame. That's interesting. So yeah, then I guess what we're going to do is just connect this to this over here. I don't have enough resources to do that straight away, but then this can actually offload the resources. Oh, look at that. So what did we get? We got a whole bunch of titanium ore. So now actually my station is mining by itself. It's really, really cool. There was another explosion. That was an asteroid. And yeah, so let me grab some of the stuff that I should have. There we go. Look, we have tons of stuff now actually in production. Should probably switch this back to hull plates for a little while. Let's also grab some of these nickel thingies. Why are you not making any of those? Probably because I actually didn't put in the stuff here yet. So it would be very nice if you could set a filter on these two output ports as well, because what I kind of want to do is connect those up to the existing production line, so now I can have my automated production. What you could also do, and this is maybe the way this is intended to be done, just have a specific mining station for a single resource, thereby automating that, and then, you know, you can kind of set everything up like that. So you can, for example, have this just mine titanium and take care of some titanium production like that. Now, what I'm curious about is whether or not this is going to replenish, or if this is a fixed amount that is available in this region. And the asteroids do seem to be moving around a little bit, but I'm not sure that is quick enough to make this matter. I guess we're going to find out one way or another. Now, since we're not sorting this anyway, I should probably just double up on this. There we go. Just to make sure this has a little easier way to get out. This is going to be a lot of stuff in here though, so let's make sure we leave some more room. And yeah, that means we can move on to the next step, I think. We are going to select ourselves a new mission, which is all about upgrading our ship. So far, we've been expanding our station, which is awesome. But of course, we also want to start upgrading our ship. And apparently, we get an entire shipyard to do that. So, let's make sure we grab some of those new plates that we have. We can go to our research tree. Let's see, we need to find... Ooh, we have solar panels. We probably need some other things in order to build that. Let's see, where's the shipyard? Here's the shipyard, so let's add that to the queue. And let's make sure we get some of that hull plates in here and start researching the shipyard. And in the meanwhile, I'm just going to go out and farm myself some more resources. Speaking of resources, in case you were wondering, not all asteroids are the tiny ones that we've been mining so far. There are several larger ones around as well. So you can see, for example, over here, this resource has 64,000 titanium ore. So that lends itself very well to just making a dedicated production line, which we're probably going to do at some point. But, you know, first things first, let's build that shipyard. Okay, so we have arrived back at our main station. Look at all of those automated resources flowing out. That is pretty awesome. Let's actually check on our mining. Yeah, we are definitely draining the amount of mining we can do around this area. Not sure, again, if that is going to replenish. I guess we'll find out one way or another. But let's hop into our designer. So let's see, we have this little station over here. Oh, look, we have a shipyard. We have two things, actually. We can extend the size of the shipyard. That's interesting. Or we can just add a shipyard core. So for the moment, I guess we're just gonna keep it simple. Let's, I guess, add that in over here. There we go. What do we need to do in order to do that? So we need some hull plates and some more lightweight frames. And we have plenty of that right now in here. We actually are stocking up quite a nice amount of these titanium plates as well. I'm not sure we need that many. Then again, famous last words, we can always make more. So, you know, let's keep it with that. I keep forgetting where I actually put my designer. Oh, it's there. I just came from that direction. Anyway, let's go there. And then let's add the shipyard to this side. I keep forgetting that I need to actually put the resources in here. It would be nice if it actually uses the resources from your inventory as well, if you're building, but, you know. Just a suggestion for the developers, maybe. Developer, single. Let's see. Hull plates, lightweight frames. Yes, apply changes. I keep getting scared by these explosions of asteroids around me, but, you know. Look at that. Is that my ship? Where did I... yeah, so that is my ship. So we have the mining station on the other side. So I need to go run straight through here in order to get to my shipyard. To modify an existing ship, it must be docked at the shipyard. Okay, so let me go and do that. Okay, so here we are at the other dock, and let's see how this works. So we have a shipyard that we can configure once more. We can actually rename this as well. Okay, so this is interesting. The resources of the entire station seem to be shared with the shipyard as well, so that is quite convenient. It also means that we have several places that we can feed those resources into the shipyard, so that's interesting. And let's see, we have a blueprint designer. Oh, I'm loving this already. We can pretty much just redesign our ship. What are these? These are engines by the looks of them. I'm not entirely sure what these are. So let's see, we have a workstation. So one of these is a workstation. The other thing is, oh, the one thing is a docking collar. So that is this one. This one is our working station. We have weapons, plasma cannon, tractor beam. Yeah, we have both of those as well. The cockpits, we have a small habitat. And what else do we have? Thrusters. Yeah, so we have a lot of basic building blocks that we can use to kind of redesign our ships. Are these two different pieces? Yes. Okay. Okay, what is this? The thing in the back. Oh, that's the reactor, of course. That makes a lot of sense. So what is the quest asking us to do? We need to build a habitat and we are going to build another plasma cannon. Okay. How do I want to do that? Can I just delete this? Let's see. Maybe this is not going to be the prettiest ship ever, but if I just do this, basic habitat, 1, 2, something like that. We have enough resources for that, so that's quite nice. Should we make another thingy over here? This looks really bad. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure I like this a lot. Let me think. How can we make this look prettier and still do what the quest is asking us to do? So as it turns out, we can actually build up as well as to the sides. So I don't know. It still isn't the prettiest ship I've ever seen, but it's functional. Now, as far as I can tell, there's no way to really build underneath. I wish I could just add in another set of guns underneath, but yeah, that doesn't seem to work as far as I can tell. If I select the plasma cannon, this does light up as if you should be able to do that, but if I go, for example, to the thrusters, there's a flip button, so we can actually turn them around and we can attach those to the sides, but I don't think that really works for the weapons, although I can just place it anywhere. I'm not sure if that actually makes for a functional ship, so let's make sure that it actually looks like it should be working. This is an interesting design for sure. Well, actually, alternatively, what we could do... yeah, no, hold on. So if we remove this, we actually do need to add in the reactor. Where's the reactor? Here. How do I go down again? Like so. Okay, so... this was how our ship was looking before. Now what we could do is, it's almost what our ship was looking like before. Let's go up 2 levels. There we go. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. Let's add in one over there, one over there. And then what we can do is maybe. Where's the weapons? Here's the weapons. Add in 2 of these things. I mean, that's a lot of weapons for sure. Now the real question is, do I have... Yeah, I do have enough for this. Do I have enough to add in maybe some thrusters as well? I mean, if we're making our ship look cool, might as well go the entire way. We do need some more magnetic coils in order to do that. However, that is not really a problem. So can we save this design? Let's see. This is the Scout Mark 2. Save. Okay, now we can't apply this just yet. It's invalid because we're missing building materials. Let me grab some magnetic coils. Okay, so I've done that. Now let's use the shipyard again. We should be able to open this now. Yep, there we go. Thrust is now 80 kilonewtons. We definitely increased the weight of our ship quite a bit as well, but I'm hoping at least it's a little bit more sturdy now, so it will break less fast. But we have a lot more firepower, should allow us hopefully to mine faster as well. We have a tractor beam still to collect everything. Yeah, and we have all the resources to do this. So there we go. We now have a shiny new ship that looks the same on the inside, but it is not. So if we now start flying around, let's disengage the autopilot for a moment. There we go. Let's undock. Look at all that firepower. Yep, that is definitely a lot more than we used to have. So let's test this out on this large asteroid over here. We can fire our lasers and then Look at that massive amount of titanium now flowing in. I mean, of course, this only works when you actually have a large asteroid like this, because the smaller ones are just going to melt away in a second. But yeah, you know, this is a lot more efficient than what we had before. But I have a feeling it's going to be even more efficient with an actual mining laser. So that's the next thing we're going to be queuing up. And I have to say, I am, I think, about a little bit over 1 hour into the game at this point. We have already a pretty decent station set up. We have expanded our ship. We've done a lot of researching technologies. And look at how awesome this game looks, by the way. I am thoroughly impressed, considering, once again, this is a single dev game. And it's not even out yet. And it feels like this could be an actual game I would pay money for already. So that is extremely promising. I have no idea where I'm going, by the way. Oh yeah, this is what I was doing. I want to grab some of these plates and I want to throw those in here so we can do some more research and get that mining laser going. So let's see what this looks like if we equip one of those. So let's take off one of the plasma cannons and put in a mining laser. That looks pretty awesome. Let's apply those changes. There we go. And yeah, that should do everything we need it to do. In order to make use of that mining laser, we need one of these bigger asteroids. And of course, thanks to the map, they're pretty easy to find. And you can also add some map points to your HUD in order to more easily find them. So hopefully, by marking it like that, can I now see where it is? I think so. I think it's that marker over there. Yep, it is quite a little bit further away than I thought it would be, but we can already see it, so let me make my way to that and do some actual hardcore mining. Okay, so here we are. Actually, it didn't take all that long, and look at that beautiful mining laser. That's a lot more efficient, actually. I think I can also set up weapons groups now. I think the mining laser is actually mining a lot quicker as well. So let me actually try this out. If we go to over here, configure the groups. So the tractor beam is group 2. We now switch the mining laser to group 2 instead. That is far more controlled. And it seems like the mining laser actually functions like a tractor beam already, so at least I assume it is. Can I actually tell if it's reaching my inventory? I assume so. Let me sit in the pilot seat. Oh, my inventory is full, so that makes... that's actually interesting, because I don't know if I can tell that my inventory is full unless I actually open it up. But it still is mining the asteroid while I do that. So there is a chance that you're wasting resources that way. But anyway, I actually don't think this is the best way to do my mining, because I can also just set up an entirely new station over here. So let's once again set up a starter station, probably somewhere close to the actual asteroid. Let's not stay too close. Not sure if we can actually run into the thing, but if we don't have to, might as well give ourselves a little bit of space, and let's go and undock this thing. This time around, let's go with a little bit of a different setup. So let's go like this. Then let's have another one, and another one, and then we can add in some drone mining base like that. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. There we go. And another one. So 3 of those. Is that? No, that is not aligned properly. Let's make sure that it is. Yeah, that looks good. So we have 3 mining stations there. Now what I want to do is all make these focus on titanium, and then just make this a massive titanium producing facility. We're still going to need some power. So we're going to need to do something like that. This is going to be the power hub. We might need to add in 1 more of those. Now this is going to cost me a fair bit of resources. However, I think we can just save this. Let's save this blueprint as basic mining station. There we go. In order to actually build this, I'm gonna need to put in resources into the station, but I brought quite a bit of that. Probably not quite enough though, because we do need a lot of those things actually. Let me double check my ship, because I do think I brought a little bit extra in here. Because I needed to build the first part, yeah. Did need to build the first part of my station from my ship. It's a little bit of a weird mechanic, once again. I would highly prefer it if it just also checked your inventory. It would make things a little bit easier. So let's dump all of that in here. We might actually have exactly enough. That would be kind of sweet. Let's see. Open up. Let's load up the basic mining station. We do actually have exactly enough. That's quite lucky. Okay. Apply these changes. There we go. Let's save this game. And yeah, we have a huge amount of space now to work with. We're going to have to set up all of these drone bays in order to filter for just titanium. I only want titanium. Now look at that. We have 62,000 titanium we can get from this. And yeah, this can just feed into a giant production line that is just going to focus on a couple of different resources. I think pretty much what we want to produce here are the hull plates as well as the lightweight frames. So I'm gonna start out with the same thing like I did before. So we have a little bit of storage for water, we can refine that into fuel, and we have some fuel storage and a reactor. We have plenty of space to add in more reactors if we need to, so you know, that's going to be a nice start. And then I'm gonna replicate the same setup 3 times for each of the mining drone stations that we have. So I'm gonna take a refinery, we're gonna put that, I think like this. So it's nicely aligned with the corridor over here. We're going to take some of those belts. We are going to be putting those down like that. And some more belts like so. And then these refineries are going to be making just basic titanium plates. All of these are going to be making titanium plates, but what I'm going to do is I am going to set up a, probably for now, just a single assembler over here in the corner on this side, and then another one over here on this side. And then we're going to have all of these refineries on one side feeding into this assembler over here. This one is going to be making plates, and then this one is going to be creating the lightweight frames. And then of course we need plenty of storage to go along with that. We can put that back here in this corner where we came from. Something like that. And then we have the output coming in through here. There we go. Oh. Let's make sure we build that. And oh, I want one more. Hello? Am I out of resources? I don't think so. There we go. And that means we are going to have a full storage of both of these things as soon as I have this all up and running. Actually, now I think of it, I'm gonna add in a couple of the storage facilities in the middle, because this will allow the overflow of minerals, if I have any, of titanium I should say, the ore, to go in there. And similarly, I'm gonna make sure that if I overproduce the plates at all, these are going to go and flow in here. And that is going to allow me to pretty much double up on these belts as well. So let me do that something like this. So that should make all of this pretty efficient, I think, in terms of the in and output of these production buildings. Now, there's just one problem. I have no water and no fuel here, so I'm gonna need to go and grab some. I do have to say there's a lot less noise involved by mining through a mining laser. Also, it is way faster. Even with just a single one, it's mining faster, I think, than the 2 cannons that I had were doing before. So, you know, there's that. It's almost like using a dedicated mining laser that is intended to do, you know, mining is faster than the guns that are not meant to do that. But anyway, yeah, all in all, this is pretty nice. Let's see, we have quite a bit of water now. We have a lot of titanium ore to go along with that. So let's head back. And there we go, we already have some of that water flowing in, and this is not actually producing anything because of course I need some initial power to get myself started. So let's plug that in, and then hopefully, oh actually I don't think I set this to produce anything yet. There we go. And there we go, now we have some hydrogen fuel coming in. Now let me throw the remaining stuff in the box like that. And I think we should also see, if we run to this side now, that our drones should have left the station. They have not. Oh, because I probably didn't activate them yet. Start mining. There you go. I did build the I did build the the drones on the wrong side of the, well, not necessarily the wrong side, but on the opposite side of where the actual asteroid is. So if I now run over here, can I see them mine? That would be kind of cool. They might have found some smaller asteroids as well in the neighborhood that they are mining first. Anyway, let me activate the rest as well and see if this is working like intended. Okay, all the drones have been activated, and look at that. We have ore coming in, we have plates being produced, and we have more plates being produced, as well as lightweight frames. This is awesome. And we have 64,000 titanium to do all of this, and the only problem is we're going to run out of actual fuel before we run out of titanium. Now, the next step is, of course, making sure that that is automated as well, so we never have to bother about manually refueling ever again. I'm actually pleasantly surprised how much I can power with just a single reactor. Now, this is a reactor is going to drain pretty fast, but as you can see, it can easily keep up with... What do you have now? I have like 6 refineries, 2 assemblers, 3 mining drones, and that's not counting the production I have for the fuel itself. So that's just a single refinery on top of that. But honestly, that is a significant amount of production already. And you can see I have almost an entire stack of plates already, and an entire stack of lightweight frames already as well. And it is flowing in really, really quickly at this point. Okay, so let's get ourselves a little bit of fuel. We have a water asteroid quite close by. This has 74,000 water, so that should last us quite a bit. Let's mark that up, and then let's get to it. Look at that beautiful ball of water over there, and we're going to set up yet another one of those mining stations so we can get some fuel going. I think the setup can be a little bit simpler because I am just going to need some refineries to make that fuel, and I can actually use the same open space I have available over here to turn that fuel into power. I'm just going to need a single reactor once more, so there should be plenty of space in here to do that. All I need now is building materials. Well, I do have to say it's a lot more fun if you build your station with the correct orientation, because you can actually see the drones flying in and out. Now, let's see. It's actually interesting that the drones started to fly off right away, even though I didn't power anything up yet. So, are they just flying up and down without mining because they don't have power? No, they are actually mining. So that's interesting. The mining stations themselves don't seem to use any power. Not sure if that's intentional or not. It seems a little weird to me, but it is a nice way to grab some remaining resource if you need any more. But again, this looks amazing. Anyway, let's set up a fueling station. There we go. This is a very similar approach to what I did on the other mining station. So the mining station itself is just bringing in water. We're transforming it into fuel. I have a splitter over here that is just going to go into a reactor. I set up a secondary reactor on the other side. I just ran out of materials for the belts, actually, so if you're wondering why the other half isn't built yet, I'm gonna do that in a moment once I get back to my other station. But as you can see, this is a full belt worth of fuel already, and it's now loading onto my ship, because remember, we cannot just offload things from our ship, we can also just load it on there, and this is going to be key to completely automating our empire. Okay, so step 1, we have completely optimized our fuel production. Step 2, let's make sure we appreciate the amazing scenery that we have when we fly around. And then step 3, let's redesign our titanium hub a little bit. So I still have the titanium coming in from this side, of course, but I now have 3 docking stations, and that is because every single docking station is going to be dedicated to one specific resource, just to keep things simple. So we have the lightweight frames going out on one side, we have the hull plates going out on the other side, and then we have some basic fuel coming in on the other side. At least that is the plan. Now we just need to make sure we actually have the ships to do so. Before we get into that though, I need to make sure I know where everything actually needs to go. So this is the fuel in station, and this is going to unload. Yes, that is correct. It's also going to just unload fuel, just in case there's anything else on that particular ship. There's a little bit of storage, there's 2 reactors, it's way more than I need, but I like symmetry. And then on this side, this is the same setup that we already had, but now we can connect this up to a belt like so. Look, let's make sure that actually works. There we go. And then we can do the same thing over here. And that is going to export this into whatever is docked over here. Now, once again, I'm just going to make sure that there is a filter on here. We are going to be on... It's the plates, right? Yeah, just double checking. There we go. And this is going to be the hull plates out. There we go. Just so I'm entirely confident that I know what I'm connecting up to what. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And with those two bases are good to go, let's head back to our main station where we have the shipyard in order to build ourselves a secondary ship. And maybe a couple of others soon after. But first things first, we need a transportation ship to get the fuel from our fueling station to our titanium production facility. It's also interesting how empty this starting facility now feels, just because, well, you know, we actually removed all the input from it because it's not doing anything anymore. I don't think this mining operation has anything in the range anymore. No, it's not replenishing, so that is good to know. So that means I can completely repurpose this facility to something else, or just, I don't know, remove it altogether. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to be doing with it. But first things first, we're going to be building some ships. Okay, so let's design a little transport ship. We are going to start with a habitat. We need a cockpit to go in front. It doesn't necessarily need to be in front. Am I just building my own ship again? It looks like I am. But anyway, let's make sure we add in a thruster. What I actually want to do is add in another thruster on this side. So a double thruster here, and then let's flip that around. And let's copy that. Let's go down a couple of levels. Let's go up one level. There we go. I think that is where it's supposed to go. Yeah, that looks about right. We are going to have a docking collar over there as well, because it does need to be able to dock. I wish I could make this like more triangular or something, but I guess it'll have to do for now. Do we have a reactor yet? No, we can. Well, maybe we can fit that in right here. That doesn't look too bad. I'll put in a workstation just because I can, maybe. That's actually pretty light, so that doesn't really add anything to it, and it does add some symmetry to the thing, so I think this looks pretty decent. It's worth noting, by the way, that ships need fuel themselves as well. I hadn't considered that, actually. So that is something to keep in mind, but for now this is probably going to be trivial, considering this ship is literally designed to carry fuel around. But the other ships might have to be slightly different, or at least follow a different route or something. But let's go with this. Let's save this as not the advanced titanium. This is going to be a fuel ship. Developer, if you're watching this should probably not be saved if I'm opening a different type of editor. There we go. This is a fuel ship. And let's see if we can build one of those. Do we have enough materials? Yes, we do. Not entirely sure why I can't build it though. Is this already here? Is that how that works? No. Okay, so how do I actually build a ship? Okay, so apparently you actually built the ship over here at the construct new ship button. So I don't know, that's a choice, I guess. But anyway, we need some hull plates, lightweight frames, and some magnetic coils, and we should have all of that. So let me just go and grab that. Okay, a second ship was built. Now let's go and explore that. Right, I can't actually fuel it because I put the reactor on top, so that might be a thing. It's actually interesting. If I undock this now, can I still fly this? Yeah. I mean, it's using fuel it doesn't have. That's either a bug or just a safety measure. It's just so you can't get stuck or something. I don't know exactly what to think of that. Where's my space station? Hello? It's so easy to get lost in the outer space over here. Anyway, we have an easy way to fix that. Let's go to the shipyard dock. Let's enable that. There we go. There it is. There's my little space station. So, what I want to do... I think I can actually do this from over here. So we have a new ship. If I click on this... Yeah, so I can actually set orders from outside of the ship. How do I name the ship? Is this where we name it? It's a little weird because if you... I'll show you in a moment. So this is the fuel ship 1. We're probably going to have more of those. But anyway, I rename a ship while I'm in the ship. But if I go to the station overview, I can rename the station from over here. I can't do that because if I click over here, I don't get the rename option. So again, that is something that's a little bit unintuitive. So I hope that will get changed at some point. But for now, let's see. I am going to hop out of my ship. So let me just make sure I'm actually in the station proper. Then I'm going to go to the fuel ship and change this. So we're going to navigate you to the fuel station. We're going to add a weight condition and you're going to bring some fuel. Now, how much fuel? Actually, don't know, but probably like 300 is more than enough. That's going to take the station ages to actually use up. Then we're going to add up another one. Then we're going to get you to the Titanium Prime Production Center. We're going to add in another weight condition for fuel. We're going to make sure you no longer have any fuel. So this is completely offloading it before you're going to get some more fuel. And I think that's it. So let me enable that. Oh yeah, the ship is now gone. Can we still see it flying? Or is it so fast that it is already gone? Well, we might be able to see it on the map. Ooh, it is actually really fast. Look at that. We have fuel ship 1 now flying towards the fuel station. It should then go to Titanium Prime. And look at that. We have automated our first set of stations because this will produce an almost infinite amount of fuel. This is going to produce an almost infinite amount of titanium stuff. So now all we need to do is really just replicate that once more, maybe for one of the nickel places. Yeah, this might be a pretty good place to do that. But hold on that thought for a moment, because what I also need to do is actually check back in with my quest, because I've just been expanding my empire because I'm having a lot of fun. But you know, maybe there's an efficient way to do this. Select a new mission. Ship upgrading. Mission complete. Oh, I actually don't have any missions, so I am free to do whatever I want. Well, in that case, let's go back to the technology tree. We have silica refining over here, which is going to allow us to make silicon wafers, some reinforced glass, all from silica, and then a window from lightweight frames and reinforced glass. That makes sense. We have servo motors. What does that need? Titanium plates and magnetic coils. So yeah, we are definitely going to need to get a similar production facility going for both the the nickel stuff as well as the silicon stuff. So we have all the 3 main ingredients that we need for now. Okay, so in order to speed that up while we're here, let's make another fuel ship. Let's make sure I hop in to actually give it its name. So this is going to be fuel ship 2. There we go. And then we can hop out of this ship again. And we are going to make our way all the way back to the other ship. Now, should I... I think I can actually just remove everything that is in here. I don't actually think the shipyard itself needs any, what do you call it, power? A lot of things don't seem to require power. That's interesting, including the mining drones. But yeah, I'm just gonna clean all of this up. That will give me a lot of resources. Let me double check actually if I can still carry all of that. Yeah, that should be fine. That way I can pretty much just use all of these resources to set up a nickel production center, and then we have all the base materials covered, and then we can start looking after some silica. For the nickel station, I'm gonna go with a little bit more efficient design. This is another 3 of these mining drone facilities. However, I have now the outputs on the sites over here, and I have the reactor and things like that will be over here. The nice thing about this is that this is a little less resource intensive to build, so that's a first. But the secondary benefit of doing this is I can just copy paste this right over the starting facility that is just intact over here. This is going to be the fuel input, so that is where I'm currently docked. But other than that, the outputs over here are going to be used for the outputs for the plates as well as the coils. So the interesting thing is, because I already built the ship, now I can use my scouts, actually move this to one of the other stations. So let me do that. You can see it leaving there. Actually, did I just stop it moving and it's now clipping? Yeah, there we go. There it went. So this is now automatically moving to a different position. Now I can take the second fuel ship, add the fuel station again, add a weight condition for the fuel once more. Let's make sure you have at least 300. That is fine. We can remove this. Add a destination to the nickel prime station. Add a weight condition. This is all going to go pretty fast. There we go. And enable that. And that should mean that not only did the other ship just move to... There you go. It is now over there. If I look at the map, I zoom out a little bit, we should see the secondary fuel ship moving around as well. Where is it? It is over there. Is it moving? I think so. It's a little bit hard to tell. Yeah, it's definitely moving as well. So that secondary fuel ship is now also trying to gather fuel from the fueling station. I'm not entirely sure what will happen if two different ships try to both dock at the same station. That might bug out a little bit, or they might just start flying around, but either way, it should work. We are now mining some nickel, so all I need to do is set up some production facilities. Okay, there we go. So we have a lot of nickel plate production over here. We have some of that being turned into magnetic coils that are going to be exported on one side. And then this seems a little bit inefficient, honestly, but the benefit of having first all of the plate production converge and then spreading out again is that if I need one more than the other, the overflow is then going to go onto the secondary production. So this just makes sure that this is automatically balanced out between these two production lines. Where's our fuel? Let's see. Unload the fuel. There we go. There is a ship here, and the ship also brought some fuel, so that is working like intended. Apparently I just needed to set this, so that's interesting. It doesn't just unload anything, just anything that you specifically set the filter for, which is interesting because it will actually load anything. So I was kind of expecting not to have to do this, but you know, working like intended. So let me double check the inventory of this ship. I think I should be able to check that like that. So yeah, it picked up 300 of, a little bit more than 300 actually, of this, and then it flew all the way here, and it's now offloading, so it should return as soon as it offloaded all of that fuel. So I'm actually wondering if the other ship is doing that correctly, so I might need to double check the titanium prime station as well, but we're going there anyway because we need to set up some technology science research, I mean, because that is the thing we need in order to unlock anything more complicated. And remember, the only thing that we can currently make that will give us science are the hull plates. I do want to point out, by the way, that you shouldn't underestimate the workbench on your ship. I've just been non-stop producing stuff over here as well, and it's not necessarily the fastest way to do things, but it is a very nice way to kind of have a building material stockpile while you're flying in between your stations. So, you know, there is that. Now, let's use the autopilot because I'm lazy. Let's go back to the Titanium Prime. Let's go into one of the things that I don't have a ship on yet. And I also want to stare for a moment at my map. So this means that we have one ship moving over here. We have two other ships moving. We have 3 stations already. Yeah, this is an amazing feeling, honestly. It's really fun to do, and once again, a single developer. This feels like I'm playing X4, which is a AAA game, at least somewhere close to that. I think it has a whole team behind it anyway. It's been out for years, and honestly this feels easier to play. It's nowhere near as sophisticated in terms of all the other factions and stuff like that, of course, but in terms of the actual base building, this is way easier and more fluent to do, and honestly a lot more fun as well. Okay, so as a final objective for this first playthrough, I'm gonna try and build myself like a master station where I'm importing all the different things that I'm going to be producing elsewhere and kind of just make a central hub that is trying to recombine everything to make the largest central factory that we can. Now, in order to do that, I have, first of all, one input. This is just going to get in the hull plates, and I have a shipyard over here so I can build the ships to make those transports that we're going to need for that. And thinking about all of this, I'm actually wondering if these ships will keep flying around without fuel, because I don't really plan on supplying them with any fuel. I'm actually not entirely sure how I'm supposed to do that to begin with. You could make a very convoluted system where they kind of like fly to the fueling station, refuel, and things like that, but that seems like a lot of work. So I'm just going to see if it works without that at first as well. And then we're going to make this our science station to begin with. Okay, so I built myself another ship. This is the hull plates. We are going to let this fly to the hull plates out location. And we're going to wait for hull plates. How many of those do I need? Like one stack is 50, right? Or something like that. So let's say 200 maybe? I'm not sure what number to put here, to be honest. One flight does take quite a while, but 200 takes a long time to produce, so I think this should be fine. Then we're going to add in a new destination. Then we're going to import them on the startup station. We are then going to wait until you offloaded all your hull plates. And that should work. Go and fly off now. Now let's see if that works. Let's go to the map. The hull plates is flying. Yeah, it has 0 fuel on it, so not entirely sure if this is intentional or not, but for now it will work for the kind of like playtest version of the game that we're in. I'm then gonna go import those into a box over here, and then that's just going to go straight into these containers, which are going to make sure that science gets produced. Now I just realized I actually also need fuel in this station as well, because otherwise we can't power anything. Okay, I added in another dock, a fuel ship central with the necessary weight conditions to get fuel and get it to my central station, and that means that if I enable this, and once again, and there we go, we have a fuel ship running up and down to actually fuel my station. Now the benefit of that is also that if I at some point, and this is a future change probably, will need to actually fuel my ships, well, just supplying the actual station with fuel also means you can very easily supply your ships with fuel. At least I'm hoping so, because I'm honestly not entirely sure how you're supposed to get fuel on and off your ships. You could, I guess, use the docks over here. You can have like one thing unloading and one thing offloading, but yeah, not entirely sure how that is supposed to work. Anyway, it will work for now. With the current production options that I have available, or research options I should say, I can actually unlock quite a few things already, so let's get that started. Now, while I'm waiting for my fuel to arrive, the plates have already arrived, so that's good. So let's make sure we just kickstart the fuel manually for the moment, and then hopefully... Yep, and there we go. We are now researching silica refining, which also means that I'm gonna hop back to my silica asteroid that I identified close by, so I can actually start building up that silica production. Oh, I stand corrected. I just noticed over here that the HUD markers that you place in the map overview, you can actually be deleted if you're not in the map overview. I mean, whether or not that's something that makes sense is the second question. Also interesting that if I press my left mouse button, my weapons start firing. But anyway, at least you can actually remove them, which makes this a lot less cluttered, I guess, than it would be otherwise. Now, it is interesting that you cannot actually remove things like the ships in this overview. They're not really ordered either. So all in all, I would say that there are still some improvements to be made in that UI department, but at least you can remove all the clutter from the asteroids. Okie dokie, I built another station very similar to the other ones you've already seen for the silica now, which is right next to a silica asteroid. I had to destroy some more enemies in order to get there, but those seem to be not too much of a problem. Let's see, we have a fuel ship over here as well. Not sure where my other fuel ship is. Let's see. I'm naming them in such a way that I can actually find them. Where are you? Oh, you're over here. So that is fine. I'm a little worried about the location of this particular ship, though. But for some reason, they don't seem to be attacking me. I can always just take them out. Can I mark these on my map, actually? Yeah, I can. So I can actually just go and find them and take them out like that. So that's interesting. Okay, well, anyway, for now, it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. So you can see I have several ships already flying around, a lot of bases up and running, but all of these are just producing. So now it's, I think, time to start adding in some actual production. So let's see. We have this setup over here. So we have fuel and hull plates coming in at the moment. Let's see what the next step is, actually. I don't know. So we researched silica refining. We're now making the wafers. You can also make glass and windows. Not entirely sure what we're going to be doing with those, but, I can make them. Let's see. We also have servo motors unlocked. I think those actually, yeah, those produce material science. We already have that though from the plates. So it's an alternative way to get that technology, I guess. But we also need computational science, and in order to do that, is that what we need the basic circuits for? Yeah, so these will supply us with 1 computational science per basic circuit, and in order for that, we are going to need some of those wafers along with the nickel plates. But we are producing all of that now, so if I go back to my designer, what I could do, and this is not going to be the prettiest station ever. How do I get up to level? UI. I keep wanting to press shift in order to make multiple builds at the same time, but you know, that doesn't actually work. So let's copy and paste that. Let's see, is that actually connected? Yeah, it is. So if I add these two up, I could import the nickel as well as the silicon wafers, and then start making some of those circuit boards over here. So I was waiting for these silicon wafers to actually arrive at my station, but for some reason I am not receiving any, and that's because I'm not producing any, which is because for some reason I'm not getting any fuel over here. So now I'm wondering what's going on with my fuel. So let's see, we have the fuel ship over here. We seem to have a traffic issue over here at the fuel station. Yeah, so either I really underestimated the throughput of the fuel station, or something is not really going according to plan here. There's also something else I should note, that I can't currently actually dock at this station because I only have a single dock, which is currently being taken care of by 3 other ships, so, you know, that is something to consider. I really do look at those drones flying up and down to the asteroid. This is so gorgeous, but yeah, luckily I can... okay, getting a little bit no motion sick there. I can probably very easily fix this problem just by taking these ships off autopilot for a moment. Okay, so actually the really nice thing that I can do over here is that if I go to my overview and I select the ship that is in my way, I can just say, okay, you're right now trying to wait for items that apparently you're not getting. So you can skip that for now and go back to where you came from. Look at that, it just left. And that means I can just now fly in and dock myself and figure out what is going wrong. But that's a really nice thing. I don't have to reset anything. I can just have them skip to a part of their instructions and then act accordingly. Now, let's see what's going on here. Well, we are actually loading ships. So I guess it is literally just a throughput thing. There is just not enough things coming in. Now, what did I said it needed to collect? 300? This seems to be exporting it like at 1 per second or so. I don't know, it doesn't actually say how fast it is. 60 items per minute, so that's 1 per second. So we actually would need to stay here for 2.5 minutes to fully load up 1 ship. Honestly, that doesn't feel like it's too bad. Let me double check some of these instructions though. It's also worth noting that more or less by accident I did completely optimize this production, because each one of these refineries is producing 20 per minute. I have 3 of those for every belt, with 3 of those on each side. So yeah, it does feel like this is pretty much optimized in terms of outputs. So then the real question is, why are ships not flying up and down faster? Okay, I found the problem. I was waiting until it had less than 300, which means this ship should have instantly left actually. So that is really strange, but let's make sure I have that set correctly. This one should be fine. We have more ships. Yeah, that was fine. This one should probably be larger than or equal, because otherwise it might stop flying as soon as it reaches 300, or I don't know how that actually works, but I think this all should work just fine. So hopefully this is enough to fix the problem. On the bright side, I can now just manually start my one of my... Look at that, I was just talking for a couple of minutes and I already filled up the 300. So yeah, it's definitely not a problem in terms of output. It's just probably something messed up in my waiting conditions that should now be fixed, and hopefully the problem will fix itself in the long run as well. And there we go, the silicon wafers are now on their way to my main station over here, and that should mean that we get the wafers now in this box, and we already should have, let me double check, yeah, we have a whole bunch of nickel plates in this thing already. So now what I can do is build an assembler. I'm just gonna keep it simple. Let's build that right smack down in the middle. Actually, yeah, probably. Probably something like this. How can I not align this? The width of some of these buildings versus the width of the actual main block is kind of stressing me out. You can't make this symmetrical, and you know, symmetry is awesome. But now it's 3 on this side and 2 on the other side. I think I did everything else symmetric. Yeah, it's just the size of the building. It's just what it is. And that means I can now start making basic circuits, which also means I can hook up this output to my science production, which is where? All the way on the other side? Actually, no, it's over here. Wait, how does this work? Currently researching material science. Okay, so it's just going to produce the science, and then the science automatically going to be turned into something else. Well, that is fine. Look at that. We are now producing basic circuits, and that means I should be able to just hook this up like this. And put a belt like this. And yeah, that should work. So if I now select something else, let's say solar panels, add that to the queue. I think that should work. Question mark. 1% done. That's not a lot. 2% done. Yeah, okay, so there we go. So that means that we have now officially gotten access to the entire technology tree, which is not that much, but we can craft everything else in the game. Now this is where I'm gonna stop this particular playthrough, mostly because this is just doing more of the same at this point, and as you can see there's nothing else in the technology tree just yet. But I do have to say, this game is looking extremely promising. I do like the fact that it's entirely 3D. You get to build all these different stations, you can hook them all up together. Sure, there's probably a couple of things that can be further refined, and it definitely needs more content to come after this. But if I zoom out, just to give you an idea, if I zoom out, there's asteroid fields, there's like other parts of this solar system. If I zoom out even further, I have a feeling that this developer has a lot more plans for this game than just what we're currently doing. And there's no way to get to these other systems at the moment. There's just the warp drive that you saw in the technology tree. Let me look that up. There is something like that. Let's see, warp drive. This is just to get around the solar system more quickly. So this is not actually going to transport you between like zones or anything like that. But I can very easily see that coming up later on down the line, where you can maybe make more complicated factories. There's also ways to make your station like multi-level, larger units, to make just everything a lot easier to build. Long story short, this is an extremely promising looking game, and I'm looking forward to see how this develops. Make sure that you wishlist it. That is something that helps out developers quite a bit. So even if you don't get into the playtest that is currently going on, you can sign yourself up for that if you're interested in it. But again, remember, limited access to that. But wishlisting the game does help out developers quite a bit as well. So if this sounds interesting to you at all, make sure you do that. If you liked this video, and especially the more long form content, make sure you let me know, and also like and subscribe and do all the YouTube things. Either way, if you're still here, you are definitely awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.